Nick Ashew here with the DMV.
Has concluded.
The DMVSTREAM.COM player.
Sean Parker along with Nick Allison.
I always wanted to play volleyball in college.
Cordova trying to dig it out of the board. And they score!
Hey everybody, welcome in to our studios here in Fairfax. Bob Trossett alongside Brenton Randolph and Derek Kramer, my two analysts for this week's show. Really excited to get you into everything that's going on as we are pushing closer and closer by the day, by the hour, to playoffs here in the DMV. So let's get right into it. Here's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to recap Hayfield versus South Lakes, Georgetown Prep versus Landon, Gwynn Park versus Largo. Also, we're going to take a look at Wilson versus Eastern, Murray and Flint Hill. I know Brenton's chomping at the bit to get after that one.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, we have our three previews as well. St. John's versus Gonzaga. That should not disappoint. Episcopal at Georgetown Prep. And finally, Lake Braddock at South County. So that's what you have a chance to look at today. And of course, you can all check it out right here on DMVSTREAM.COM. And then Thursday and Saturday, there are your channel options. So a lot of options for you here. But first, before we get into everything DMV playoff time, take a look at how to get your play included each week on All Met Sports Top Plays.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to an all-new season of Top Plays here at AllMetSports.com and WashingtonPost.com. I'm your host, BJ Kubarulis. Now, as we've done the past 4 seasons, we're continuing our exciting interactive high school football show that allows you, the coaches, players, parents, and fans, and others, to send in your video submissions for ranking in our Top 10 style weekly show. If you want to see your highlight in this show, well, it's as simple as tweeting your boy. I'm at BJ Koob, and you got to remember to hashtag it, Ole Mets. All right, you can tweet in your Huddle, YouTube, Vimeo, really any video link by Sundays at noon, and we'll consider it for use in the upcoming episode of Top Plays. Now, you got to remember to tune in on Mondays to see if your video made our Top 10 at allmetsports.com. We'll see you soon.
Hey everybody, and welcome back into the Prep Zone. All right, let's get right into our weekly fast forward and check out our first game report number 1, and that was between Hayfield and South Lakes. Brenton, you had a chance to take a look at this one. What went down?
Well, this was a big-time matchup between two of the top teams in Conference 6. Hayfield only had 1 loss on the season, and South Lakes was undefeated, but Hayfield was trying to change that as Jacob Keeney finds his man Brian Cobbs on a deep pass that goes for 69 yards and a critical first down late in the game. Keeney and Cobbs have had a great connection all season long, and that didn't change here as Brian Cobbs had 16 receptions for 182 yards and 2 touchdowns, including this beautiful one-handed catch in the third quarter that gave Hayfield the lead. And South Lake's defense just didn't have an answer for Brian Cobbs throughout this game. But Cobbs wasn't the only person that Keeney was completing passes to. Guys like Nick Genovese and Javon Palin were coming up with huge catches for Hayfield all game long. And like I said earlier, South Lakes couldn't stop them. And when Keeney wasn't carving them up through the air, he was doing it on the ground. He had a rushing touchdown on the game and that first down run. Last but not least, their running back, Kylan Booker, stiff arms a guy and gets the touchdown. South Lakes tried to come back late, but Hayfield was able to come out on top 38-28.
And if you've tuned into the show throughout the fall, you certainly know that we've mentioned Keeney's name several times on this show.
Oh, yeah.
What made him so special in this game specifically?
Well, Keeney's been lighting it up all season, but they've been throwing it a lot. He had 36 of 48 for 491 yards, 2 touchdowns passing and 1 rushing. So he's been versatile, but he's been lighting it up, and he lit up a very good South Lakes defense this week, so he gets my player of the game.
All right, on to our game report number 2. This was between Landon and Georgetown Prep. A little bit lopsided, Derek, as were a couple of your games this week. What was the story?
Yeah, well, this was a little bit of a one-sided game as Georgetown Prep improved to 7-1 with a strong performance on both sides of the ball. And here you're going to see our player of the game, T. Ridgway, find his receiver, Justin Allen, who stretches over the pylon to get the touchdown. One of three total touchdowns on the game for Ridgeway. And here we're going to see the play of the game, in my opinion. Owen Wright hurdling his defender. So good we got to see once right after he gets the leading motion, just hurtling over his defender. He's a William & Mary recruit, and I think the Tribe are going to be really lucky to have him. And next up, we've got Owen Wright finishing off the drive with a touchdown. He had a great game, 19 attempts for 106 yards and a touchdown. But this game was more about the air attack, as we see Max Edwards with a long touchdown pass, and then he silences the crowd, giving them the finger. But it was a great performance by T. Ridgeway. He also uses the play action, the bootleg to get on the sidelines and get a nice, impressive 50-yard touchdown run, showing off his legs. And he had a great performance today, really showing what he could do for this team. Like, they usually rely on Owen Wright, but today he was the player of the game, and he played a great game.
You mentioned T. Ridgeway. He earns our respect of the player of the game. You take a look at some of his special numbers from that game.
Yeah, you see the thing that pops off most is the completion percentage, 12 of 14. That's the efficiency they need, and they've got a big game against Episcopal next week, and whoever wins that game is probably going to be the top dog of the IAC, so I look for a strong performance from him.
All right, on to our game report number 3. This one was between Gwynn Park and Largo. Brent, you had a chance to take a close look at this one. How'd it go?
Well, this was a big game between two rival teams in the state of Maryland, but this is a really huge game for Largo as they needed a win to stay in playoff contention. We'll pick this one up in the second quarter as Alfred Johnson finds Markel Mayhew for a touchdown. That was the first score of the game. Mayhew wasn't the only person coming up with some plays receiving, though, as Isaiah Coulter had 4 receptions for 70 yards, but he was really just fighting and fighting for more yards, and he got some key first downs late in the game that really kept the Yellow Jackets' momentum going. But Gwynn Park was best at running the football, so their guy Ryan Clemens had 5 rushes for 71 yards and a touchdown, so that's a huge game for him. But not to be outdone, their other running back Terrell Lindsay had 10 rushes for 130 yards, and Gwynn Park was able to come away with the 18-6 victory over Largo.
And Terrell Lindsay is our top performer. Take a look at some of his numbers here that made that game so special for him.
Yeah, like I said earlier, he had the 10 carries for 130 yards. That's an average of 13 per carry. So when you're averaging a first down per carry, that's pretty huge. So he just got the job done.
No doubt about it. A big win for Gwynn Park, absolutely. Before we get on to our final 2 game reports, take a look as we broadcasted, DMV Stream broadcasted the Good Counsel versus Gonzaga football game on the Washington Post Sports Facebook Live.
That's a heck of a job right there. He froze that linebacker in the hole with a subtle dent. Both teams in this ball game lean on both of their tailbacks. It hasn't really been a perimeter game. And you see right here on a replay, making a move right there in the hole, getting outside, beating the in-man on line of scrimmage, and on his way for the touchdown.
Yeah, great determination there. I thought he was going to be forced out just short, but stretched that ball across.
Hey everybody, welcome back into our Fairfax studios. Let's jump right back into our game report number 4, and this one was between Wilson and Eastern. Derek, another lopsided one on your end. What the heck happened in this?
I mean, to say it best, say simply, this was a dominant performance by Wilson. And I thought Eastern was going to come out a little stronger, but Wilson, they are a high-oiled machine, and they showed its first touchdown to Emont Fleming, and he had a great game from quarterback Steve Williams, who was throwing the ball all over the place. And you'll see the next touchdown to Caleb Coleman, who outreaches the defender, and it was a great game for Wilson out there. Their offense, their fast-paced spread offense, and here you're going to see the screen pass to Amir Gerald, who makes a great cutback to the middle of the field and finds the end zone. And he gets another one right here with the rushing game. Each blockers get out in front of him. He finds the pylon where he dives for, and it's a close call, but I think he got it right there. But the defense also was just amazing. They really contained Jerome Johnson. Then you see an unfortunate bounce, but a fortunate bounce for Wilson, and it was just a great showing by Wilson, but 50-zip was tough.
And he made it easy for us in terms of selecting a top performer. That is Steve Williams Jr.
Yeah.
How about some of his numbers from that game?
Yeah, you see, I love that picture. But 4 touchdowns, only 6 completions, but they went for 4 touchdowns. I think they let up a little bit late in the game, but just a great performance from him. And I look for Wilson to have another good game against Blue next week in a tough matchup against them.
All right, ever since we've gotten in here, Brenton has been shaking the table. He wants to get to game report number 5 because he wants revenge versus Derek and I for picking this game. Tell me all about Murray and Flint Hill.
Oh, that's right. I mean, Murray and Flint Hill, you guys picked Flint Hill. I had a feeling that Murray was going to get this one done. This was for the MAC Conference Championship. Flint Hill beat Murray last year, but the Frogs turned things around thanks to their quarterback, Garrison Burnett. We mentioned last week that Burnett is a huge threat to get the job done running the football, and he broke a 65-yard touchdown in the third quarter of that game to give Murray a big momentum boost. And then in the fourth quarter, he was just very effective running the football again, just constantly moving the chains and getting 10+ yards per carry. But Murray's defense was another big story. They were very physical with Flint Hill throughout the game from start to finish, and Aaron Prey came up with a huge interception also in the third quarter that sets up a quick Jovan Nanadovich touchdown run, one of 3 touchdowns that Nanadovich had on the game. So Murray just rolled in this one, 43-14, and I finally got my pick right.
Yes, you did, absolutely. Derek and I, we commend you. So Garrison Burnett is our top performer. And you take a look at some of his numbers, simple, but they got it done.
Oh yeah, he's been somebody, like I said earlier, that gets the job done running the ball, 136-yard rushing on only 10 attempts. So again, somebody that was averaging a first down per carry. Garrison Burnett's had a huge year, and just for Murray, like these guys, hey, they've been going from their freshman year, they only had 17 players, and to see them work their way up to this point and get a share of the conference championship is pretty cool.
That'll do it for our 5 game reports. Before we get on to our 3 previews, take a look as DMVSTREAM.COM broadcasted Georgetown University's Midnight Madness live on the Washington Post Sports Facebook page.
Today we're at McDonough Arena on the campus of Georgetown University in Washington, D.C., where we're tasked with broadcasting the basketball team's Midnight Madness event live to our client's Facebook page at the Washington Post. Now, considering that this venue is not truck-friendly, we've instead rolled out our Fly Pack kit for this event. Our Fly Pack allows us to produce a multi-camera stream live to the web by marrying together a series of state-of-the-art products and production tools for one easy setup. Now, we've built out our kit and run 4 independent camera angles back to our NewTek TriCaster. Our director is then producing a live show for the viewers at home. We've also tapped into the in-house network, the internet, which allows our director to pull in live graphics from an independent graphics operator who's working on his own system and feeding graphics across that network. Now, even though you can stream directly out of TriCaster, we've opted instead to pull an independent feed directly into an independent encoder called the Teradek VidiU. This great product simply allows you to take an HDMI feed and you can encode that broadcast separately directly to the client's platform, which today is the Washington Post Facebook page. We've run our own audio back from our staging area where our talent is telling the story for the viewers at home. We've also pulled an audio feed from the in-house PA so we can switch over to the in-house DJ whenever we want to send that audio to our viewers at home. All right, for more great videos like these and to learn more about how to broadcast your event, go to DMVSTREAM.com.
Hey everybody, welcome back into our Fairfax studios. It's time for our 3-game previews. We're going to start off with Brenton's game, and that is between Gonzaga and St. John's. We could very well see this game being played again next week with a lot of implications on the line.
Oh yeah.
What are you thinking going into this one?
Well, Bob, I expect this to be a very exciting matchup. These are two of the top 5 teams in the DMV and two WCAC powerhouses. Gonzaga lost to St. John's last season 21-17. When you talk about the Cadets, you got to talk about Kasim Hill. He can beat you with his legs or with his arms. The Cadets also have 2 dynamic running backs in Kellen Robinson and their other running back, Joakim Bangda. They are 2 guys who had huge games against good counsel, as you can see here, and they're 2 guys that are excellent at breaking tackles in the open field. So you got to watch out for them. They have big playability. Meanwhile, for Gonzaga, they've got 2 players that are really good at making big plays as well, and Max Fisher, and of course the little guy, their stud, Tyree Randolph, who catches this pass against their rival Georgetown Prep and goes for a touchdown. So like you said, this could be a preview of a playoff matchup in the WCAC. I expect this one to be a very fun matchup and a big-time game.
And let's get to our players to watch, and let's start off with Gonzaga's Max Fisher and what makes him so special.
That's right, Max Fisher. The numbers may not blow you away, only 3 touchdowns, but he's somebody that has big playability, and he saves those big plays for the games that matter the most. So I would expect him to come up with a big game here against a tough opponent like St. John's.
And then on the flip side, Quincy Hall of St. John's, you take a look at what he's done this year.
Right, Quincy Hall's got 500 receiving yards, an average of 20 yards per catch, so basically every time he makes a catch, it's a big play, and 7 touchdowns, so I would expect him to possibly have a breakout game this time.
We've had a chance to take a look at both teams closely this year. Who do you like in this one?
Well, I am going to go with Gonzaga in this one. I think Max Fisher and Tyree Randolph are going to come up with just a couple more big plays.
And Derek, how about you?
I'm going to be the oddball out and pick St. John's, even though you can flip a coin for this one.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be a rematch next week as well, but it'll be a good one.
Yeah, I mean, like we said, we've been able to see both these 2 teams, and they've been working their way through a very fierce and tough WCAC. So this one should not disappoint. I'm going with Gonzaga. A big thing that's sticking in my head, and just from a couple weeks ago, we've talked about it, is their dominating win over good counsel, so I'm going with Gonzaga.
Yeah.
All right, on to our 2nd game preview. This one's between Episcopal and Georgetown Prep. Derek, you had a chance to take a look at this one. What do we think you're going in?
So yeah, the winner of this game is most likely going to be the top dog in the IAC. Georgetown Prep, they're 7-1 with their only loss coming to Gonzaga, and Episcopal is undefeated at 7-0. And last year, the Little Hoyas defeated the Maroon 12-7 in a very tight contest at Episcopal. But I look for a great rematch this year. They're both coming off great wins, as we just saw Georgetown Prep defeat Landon in a very decisive 35-0 game. But one player to look out for on Episcopal is Luigi Villan. He's 6'4" defensive end, committed to Michigan, number 10. He plays both ways, and when he's on the field, he pops off of the screen, just dominating his defenders. But on the other side, Georgetown Prep's defense has 3 straight shutouts against IAC opponents. So if their defense can really neutralize Paris Jones and Episcopal's running attack, I think Georgetown Prep can come through with this, especially with their raucous crowd too. But it'll be a good one, I hope.
And Episcopal's Paris Jones has earned one of our players to watch. So let's take a look at some of his numbers and what he's done this year.
Yeah, he's the cowbell for this offense. Only a junior. He's got 121 carries for 933 yards with a great 7.7 yards per carry. And I think if he gets going, he can really lead his team to the victory.
And then on Georgetown Prep side, Owen Wright, you mentioned him. He's also had a special year. How about some of his numbers for us?
Yeah, I just love watching this guy play. As we saw that amazing hurdle he had. And William and Tribe commit. He's just had a great, phenomenal season. And I think he's the engine that makes his team go. But him and T. Ridgeway, if they can get things going, I look for a great performance from Georgetown Prep, who I have winning.
All right, there you go. Those are our first 2 game previews. Before we get on to Brenton's final preview of the night, take a look at this week's Athlete and Play of the Week. Hey everybody, Bob Trossett here to unveil the DMVSTREAM.COM Play of the Week, which comes from McLean, Virginia. With Fairfax lining up for the go-ahead field goal, the Highlanders block it, and Amir McCormick scoops up the ball and goes all the way to the house to seal the Highlanders' 28-20 victory. If you want to see your Play of the Week on this show, be sure to tweet us at DMVStream. Hey again everybody, Bob Trossett here to unveil the DMVStream.com Athlete of the Week, which goes to Sherwood's Travis Levy. Levy ran for 297 yards and 6 touchdowns on just 10 carries to lead the Warriors to the 64-8 win over Kennedy. If you want to be the DMV Stream Athlete of the Week, be sure to tweet us your nomination at DMVStream. Hey again everybody, and welcome back into our Fairfax studios. It's time to wrap up our game previews, and Brenton's going to do that for us. This one was between Lake Braddock at South County. It's coming up this weekend. What are you thinking?
Oh man, I'm excited for this one. These are 2 powerhouse teams in the old Patriot Conference, and when these 2 teams get together, it's always a good show. You talk about Lake Braddock, you've got to mention their big-time running game. Lamont Atkins is on his way to another huge season, and their little guy, Ibrahim Mansouré, is someone who's a threat to score anytime he touches the football, whether it's on the run or in special teams. But South County has a very good defense, so I would expect them to rise up to the challenge and do everything that they possibly can to stop those 2 playmakers. The Stallions also have a very good offense that's led by their quarterback, Jack McDaniels. He's got almost 2,300 yards passing and 29 touchdowns already on the season. He's got great targets to throw to, like their tight end, Dylan Spalding, who comes up with that touchdown catch. So I would expect this to be a very interesting game. It's a big test for both of these teams at the end of the season as they get ready for the state playoffs. And if this game's anything like last year's game, we might have an instant classic on our hands.
And you mentioned him, Lamont Atkins of Lake Braddock is one of our players to watch. Take a look at some of his numbers from this season.
That's right, Lamont Atkins, he's getting close to 1,500 yards, 1,425, and he's got 22 rushing touchdowns, which is tied for 4th in the area. He's got over 100 yards in every game except for 2, so South County will try to hold him under 100 yards to give themselves the best chance in this one.
And then, of course, on South County's side of the football, Jack McDaniels is doing some special things for them. Take a look at some of his numbers.
Right, it's been an unbelievable season for Jack McDaniels. He's near the 70% completion percentage mark. He's got 29 touchdowns, which is tied for 1st in the area. So Lake Braddock's defense will have to watch out for him. They've been hot lately, but Jack McDaniels will be a tough test.
And who do you like in this matchup?
Well, I am going to go with South County in this one. They got a bit of a wake-up call last week against West Potomac, so I expect them to rebound this week, get a big win, and get back some momentum going into the playoffs.
And Derek, you and I are sticking together. Tell everybody why.
This was a tough one. I don't know, but I like Lamont Atkins. I think he's going to carry the team. You saw 12 yards per carry. If they can just feed him the ball and keep it going, I think they'll take away this one.
I'm going to stick with one of our former 2010 All-Met Player of the Year, his alum school. That would be Lake Braddock. We're going to stick with that one. And you know what? We mentioned Michael Niebrick. Now let's talk a little bit about, I just want to show you, I just had a chance to sit down with him just earlier to preview this week's edition of the QB Academy featuring Jabari Laws. Take a look. Hey everybody, welcome into the QB Academy. Bob Trossett alongside my partner Michael Niebrick, and it's all about Mr. Jabari Laws on this edition. The Wise QB has had quite a year. Why?
Well, he's a fun player to watch, and the thing that I like the most about him, watching his tape through the first 7 or 8 games this year, is he's got a little bit of a swag to him that I really love. And not only is he's a fantastic player, but like I said, he has that swag to him, which really helps the team rally around him. He has fantastic arm strength for a quarterback, but he's a fantastic athlete first and foremost. He knows how to run the football, does an excellent job finding different lanes when he has the football in his hand. But again, he knows how to throw the football down the field as well, which keeps the defenses honest. And then he has that swag to him that the team just kind of builds off of, and you've seen it throughout the course of the year, and that's why Wise is doing so well, and one of the reasons that Jabari is doing so well personally.
You selected a few highlights to kind of break down his game as a QB. What do you got first for us?
So first we're going to talk about his arm strength and the touch that he has on the football, throwing the football down the field. And he does an excellent job here pre-snap and knowing that he has the one-on-one coverage to the field here. And the important thing for this play is making sure that he keeps his eyes in the middle of the field. So let's go ahead and roll it back to the beginning here and focus on his head movement here. The first 2 steps of his drop, he has to make sure that he keeps that safety in the middle of the field. So let's go slow motion and watch that head right there for those first couple steps, just keeping that safety in the middle of the field, and then he does the rest and just throws a beautiful football down the field. Now this doesn't look like a long throw, but going from one hash to the other, all the way down towards the numbers, this is a very long throw that takes an extreme amount of arm strength and accuracy to put this football where he puts it right on stride with his guy, and then the wide receiver does the rest. So he does a really nice job throwing the football vertically down the field with some touch, with some arm strength, and with some accuracy, but he also does a really nice job with his eyes, keeping defenders in different spots so that he has the ability to throw the football into different windows.
What else does this QB Jabari do for his team?
Well, we talked about his athleticism and how he runs the football, and the read zone, or the zone read game, is one thing that Wise does extremely well. Now this play is a little bit different because they're running it out of a jet sweep motion. Now he's still going to be reading the defensive end, but they run it out of a jet sweep, which puts the end and the defense in a little bit of a bind. So let's go back to the beginning here and watch the defensive end that he's reading and what he has to do. So he's reading that defensive end, and again, it puts him at a little bit of a bind because the defensive end can either, if he stays at the line of scrimmage and doesn't react fast enough out, he could still pull it, and it could end up being the wrong decision. So he does an excellent job here. Let's go slow motion at taking a subtle little shuffle step over to the left to give him a little bit more time to read the play. That also gives him time to get into the path that he's going to be running the football. So now let's go back one more time here to the beginning, right after the handoff, or right after he pulls the football, and watch the offensive line push on this play as well. His offensive linemen are getting guys 4 or 5 yards into the defense, and when you give a guy with this much athleticism and this much talent that much room to run the football, you know, you're not going to stop him as a defense, and that's what he does so well, making those quick reads in the read zone game. And then his offensive line is fantastic at creating different lanes for him to run through. So, you know, like I said, when he has a guy like this has that much room to run the football, he's a nightmare for defenses.
He can do it on the ground. He can do it through the air. Is it quite possible there's anything more that makes him so special?
Well,
to check out the rest of my sit-down with Michael Niebrick, go right to DMVSTREAM.com. 2 great editions and segments of the QB Academy this week in November. And that'll do it for us here in our Fairfax studios. Another edition of the Prep Zone down. Just a week to go until DMV playoffs really start to heat up. A lot of teams on the line, a lot of things on the line. I know Derek and Brenton appreciate you guys coming out and giving us all the analysis we need heading into the playoffs. Appreciate it, guys.
Of course. Sure thing.
All right, and for Derek Kramer and Brenton Randolph, I'm Bob Trossett. We'll see you guys next time. Enjoy playoff season.